name is Matt Selker, and I'm with More Counseling and Mediation, and I'm here to have a conversation with you today about this concept of emotional intelligence in the workplace. And you may be wondering to yourself, well, geez, what is emotional intelligence? Well, let's begin our journey with that in mind. First of all, emotional intelligence is the capacity of individuals to recognize their own and other people's emotions. Now let's start again. To recognize your emotions and the emotions of other people, to discriminate between different feelings and label them appropriately. So not only do we have to recognize emotions, but we also have to label them correctly, which is sometimes what we don't do very well. But nonetheless, we're going to learn that today. We also use emotional information to guide our thinking and behavior. So not only do we recognize our own emotions and the emotions of other people, not only are we then going to label them correctly, but then we're going to use them for information to think and behave in the organization. So if you're wondering to yourself, well, why is this so important? That's why. Because if we can't identify, label, and use that information correctly, we end up falling and not being successful. So I'm here today to help you be successful, even more successful than you already are. So let's continue this journey. So this whole concept of emotional intelligence was popularized by this really great guy named Dan Goleman. And it's been around for a while, since the 60s, but just about the year 2000, Dan Goleman and Richard Boyatzis brought it into the mainframe and made it relevant to business. So in organizations, it really wasn't even a factor until around 2000, when we saw that, yes, this makes a lot of sense and can actually predict success of people. So again, this is a really important topic. So today's presentation, emotional intelligence is going to be discussed from the context of emotional and social intelligence. Now let me make sure you understand the difference. Emotional intelligence is our ability to regulate and understand our emotions. Social intelligence is our ability to take those emotions of other people and put them to work for their benefit. So it's a powerful construct that we're going to learn, and we're going to take this journey together. So fasten your seatbelts and get comfortable, because we're going to learn together. So for the purpose of this presentation, we'll only discuss the emotional side, right? The self-awareness and the self-management of this concept. So why is it important, you might want to ask yourself, or why does this matter? Why is this really an important piece? Well, because this is a set of skills that you can use to draw the best from yourself and others. And it's not like IQ, but it supports IQ. Now remember this is really important. IQ historically is fixed almost at birth. A few years, you have your IQ, it develops, but right about the time you get to grammar school, if you will, or high school, we measure it and it's pretty much set at that point. But emotional intelligence is learned. So you can learn about your emotions and the emotions of other people and how to manage your emotions, and actually, the older we get, the better we are at it. So if there's any reason you could get excited about getting older, this is one, because your emotional intelligence improves as you mature. So it's a powerful construct, and you can be any age and learn and advance. We can advance together. So any age in the organization, whether you're a boomer or traditionalist or millennial, doesn't matter. We can all do this successfully. So realize that 67%, that's 2 out of 3 of our abilities deemed essential for work effectiveness performance, were emotional competencies. So compared to IQ and expertise, emotional competence matters twice as much. Think about that. So what you know and your brain power is important, but your ability to engage people emotionally and to understand your emotions are twice as important as that. It's a powerful thought. Now, so again, why is this important? Well, 90% of top performers have high EQ. So when we studied top performing people in organizations, we saw that they had high emotional intelligence competencies. EQ is responsible for 58% of your job performance, right? Emotional intelligence is responsible for 58% of your performance. What you know is the other 42. Powerful. Also, and this is really important, this is going to get exciting for people trying to earn more potential, earn more money. People with high EQ or emotional intelligence have an average of $29,000 more annually than their counterparts that don't have high emotional intelligence. So people with higher emotional intelligence have a tendency to earn more. So again, one more reason why this is important in the organization. So what are the primary emotions that we see more frequently? What are they? Well, get your pen and pencil ready because here we go. First of all, anger. The second we see in organizations are sadness. The third we see is fear. The fourth we see is enjoyment. Then we see love. Then we see surprise. We see disgust, and we see shame. Those are the emotions that we primarily see in organizations. So let's take a look at this. Advantages of strong emotional intelligence are simple. First of all, you have deeper personal relationships. And ladies and gentlemen, I humbly submit to you that it's through those personal relationships that we get things done in organizations. We also adapt better when we have high emotional intelligence competencies. We struggle less with circumstances and change in the organization, and we adapt to our environment more when we have higher emotional intelligence competencies. And in your organization, just like ours, I'm sure you find that there's a lot of change, and this would be applicable to you. We also increase personal insight. You actually learn more about yourself and others when your emotional intelligence competencies are higher. Additionally, you have greater influence over others. Greater influence over others. We can get our point across more and share our thoughts and feelings when we have higher emotional intelligence competencies. How about fewer impulsive decisions? When you have good emotional intelligence competencies and you exercise them, not just have them, but use them, we make fewer impulsive decisions. We're able to think clearly. How about reduced stress? That's just one more advantage to strong emotional intelligence, is we have reduced stress. We also have improved social skills. The ability to engage other people and to be thoughtful and kind and create a state in the organization where we can all flourish. And lastly, and most, I think, one of the most important, is we have increased confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, I humbly submit to you that organizations, there are a lot of members that suffer from self-confidence issues. And by exercising emotional intelligence competencies as a colleague in that system or yourself, you actually improve your self-confidence and the self-confidence of others. So these are 8 reasons why, 8 advantages to having strong emotional intelligence. So the first part of this is self-awareness. Understanding our emotional state and how we feel. Also doing an accurate self-assessment of how we're feeling as a person. Not just our emotions, but our heart rate. Is it beating faster? Are we nervous? Are we excited? How am I thinking? Am I fearful? These are all emotions that actually influence our bodily functions. And then we want to look at our self-confidence at the moment. How confident are we feeling about the circumstance and situation? So our emotional awareness, our self-assessment of that, and our level of self-confidence is all part of the first segment called self-awareness. So no emotional awareness means that you have no idea of what you're feeling or that an emotion is even present. Now, for example, you may say, I feel like a loser. However, this is an evaluation or a judgment, not an emotional state. I hope that made sense. Not an emotional state, I feel like a loser. You also may be aware of bodily sensations. You may have awareness of feelings. However, they may only be bodily sensations such as an increased heart rate or muscle tension. So again, this is really important to be aware when you're feeling these things, exactly what they are, accurate awareness. And then you might be have awareness of behaviors. You may only be aware of how you would like to act as a result of feeling an emotion. For example, you may say, well, I think I feel like leaving this situation as fast as possible, likely signaled by fear and anxiety. Or, I feel as though I could yell at him, which might be signaled by anger. So, number one thing in emotional awareness is, hey, how am I feeling truly? Not how do I want to feel, but how am I feeling truly? Am I aware of my bodily sensations? And how about my behaviors? Am I clearly aware of how I'm acting from that space? Also, you want to be aware if an emotion you're experiencing is really present. However, you may have a hard time figuring out exactly what emotion it is. So is it present and what is it? Might be confusing. It happens to everyone. So for instance, you maybe have had enough awareness on how you feel bad or overwhelmed, but nothing more specific than that. This is sometimes termed as undifferentiated emotional state. And it's really important to get clear on how you feel if you're going to be self-aware. And that takes reflection. It takes time to think. And ladies and gentlemen, I suggest to you that you probably find your organizations that are moving so fast with the day-to-day applications that you need to be careful of and things you need to attend to. But I promise you, if you take a few moments and just focus on how you're feeling and what's really happening to you, you'll have the ability to straighten things out and move forward much more efficiently. We need to take a look at what we call differentiated emotional awareness. We are now getting to the top levels of emotional awareness. At this level, you are aware of specific emotions that are present. You're able to identify the emotion you're feeling, such as these things like sadness, anger, fear, anxiety, happiness, joy, or excitement at any given time. You're actually able to do that and to understand where you are at any given moment. Now let's look at this concept of blended emotional awareness. So this is the top of the emotional awareness pyramid. You're aware of a number of emotions that are present at the same time, including emotions that may seem in opposition to one another, such as the emotion of sadness and happiness. Now let me give you an example of that. Suppose, for example, a mother seeing her child go off to school for the first time. She may be very happy her child has reached this milestone age, but may be very sad to see her child growing up so fast. So again, this is an example of blended emotional awareness. Now let's take a look at this concept of self-management. Self-management includes this framework of self-control. That's where you're able to keep disruptive emotions and impulses in check. It also includes this space of trustworthiness. That's maintaining standards of honesty and integrity. Both of these things, self-control and trustworthiness, are so important to relationships that you have in your organization. Also, conscientiousness, taking responsibility for personal performance. Adaptability, that's flexibility in handling change. And innovation, being comfortable with novel ideas, approaches, and new information. Now I want to reiterate these self-management competencies because they're remarkably important to you, and I think you can see how you can apply them to your organization. Again, we have self-control, keeping disruptive emotions, impulses in check, keeping them in check. Also, we have trustworthiness, maintaining standards of honesty and integrity. Conscientiousness, taking responsibility for personal performance. And adaptability, that's a flexibility in handling change. And last but not least, innovation, which is being comfortable with novel ideas, approaches, and new information. Now let's take a look at each one of those individually, because I'm sure you'll agree with me they're really important to your success in your organization. First of all, motivation. That's having an achievement drive. That's striving to improve or meet the standards of excellence in your organization. It's commitment, aligning with the goals of the group or the organization, and more importantly than aligning with them, attuning with them, feeling the mission, vision, and values of your organization, and feeling how you can be part of the success of your organization through those mission, vision, and values. Also, initiative. Motivation is about readiness to act on opportunities, taking initiative, not just on what somebody brings you, but on what you see yourself. All leaders in organizations are looking for talent in their organization to see things that they don't see in hopes of advancing your organization and keeping it relevant in today's marketplace. So through this initiative that you demonstrate, you're able to unlock new opportunities that maybe others wouldn't see, and that's important to motivation. Also, optimism. I have to give a big smile to optimism because optimism is persistence in pursuing goals despite obstacles and setbacks. So again, despite the obstacles and setbacks you experience every day, we have to be optimistic that we can move forward in a clear, concise, and strategic way to make positive change. Now let's take a look at the emotional competence framework again through the lens of social competence. Social competence encompasses two areas, empathy and social skills. Let's take a look. Social competence is understanding others, sensing others' feelings and perspectives, and taking an active interest in their concerns. Through empathy, we develop others through sensing others' development needs and bolstering their abilities. Now let's look closely at the third leg of social competence, and that's service orientation, anticipating, recognizing, and meeting customers' needs. Again, it's about leveraging diversity in your organization, cultivating opportunities through different kinds of people and different kinds of ways. People think differently. It's harnessing those different thoughts, the different lenses and mental models they come to work with to identify new opportunities and innovation. Diversity surely should be celebrated. And political awareness, reading a group's emotional currents and power relationships. Again, these are all part of the social competence space. So now let's look at social competence from the social skills perspective. First of all, we need to influence. We need to wield effective tactics for persuasion. We need to communicate. Good communication, listening openly, and sending convincing messages. Also in this area is conflict management, negotiating and resolving disagreements between people. And now we have leadership. We have to take personal leadership to inspire and guide others and groups. Also, we have to be change catalysts. We have to initiate and manage change. Also, through social competence and emotional intelligence, we become builder of bonds, right? We nurture instrumental relationships. And through social competence, we collaborate and cooperate with others. We work with others towards shared goals, shared vision. Lastly, we have team capabilities. We generate and create groups of synergy and persuading collective goals. So again, all these things are done through social competence. So now let's look at 7 steps for improved emotional intelligence. First is to observe. The second step is to interpret. The third is to pause. The fourth is to direct. The fifth is reflect. The sixth is celebrate. And the seventh is repeat. Now let's look more closely at each one of these so they make sense to you. The first is observe. It's gaining an understanding of our own thoughts, feelings, and actions, and noticing our impact on others. Again, gaining awareness of where we are, really where we are, and noticing our impact on others. That's observing. Then we want to interpret those things, right? Identifying our patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving within our environments. Whether it's a 2-person environment, a team environment, a department environment, or an organization environment. We want to understand those patterns. Then we want to provide a deeper level of self-awareness. By considering this, we become aware of ourselves at a deeper level. Then we want to set the process in motion for breaking patterns and establishing new goals. That's what proper interpretation does. Next, we look at the pause. Yes? Stop and think. Take a breather. It's okay to pause and think. Most importantly, you want to do that before you speak. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is true. Words do create worlds. And the words you use will create the world that you have to engage in. So pausing and thinking is extremely helpful. But we also need to be direct. Form a thoughtful action rather than a reaction. Do you follow me? How many of us get emotional and react, including yours truly, but in this case, we have to pause, think, and take thoughtful action. And we have to consider alternative behaviors. Not just what we can do, but how does the other person feel? So directly is extremely important area of these 7 steps. Then we have to reflect. We need to think about interactions and gain valuable learning for future actions. Now let's be very clear on this. We're not talking about just learning for the moment, but we're talking about learning for the future interactions. so you can flip back in your own mind and say, how did I handle this before? All these behaviors that you change are stored in your brain, and you'll default to that behavior as long as you're willing to practice it. And reflect on your own behavior and that of the team. So again, this is reflecting on yourself, the interaction you're having, and also the interaction with the team, and making sure that you institutionalize new behaviors in your mind. And next, you want to celebrate. Ladies and gentlemen, I humbly submit to you that you need to celebrate with everything you do. Affirm positive interactions, reinforce likelihood of future positive interactions, and celebrate the team and the team members when they do something right. Because if we don't celebrate, it just becomes another action that occurs in the organization. So, and lastly, we need to repeat this. All the successes that you have in these 7 areas, we need to do over and over again to allow us to create new neural paths, create new relationships, create new behaviors that are sustainable and will last a long time in your organization. So you might be wondering to yourself, what emotional skills does an employee look for or want? Well, first of all, they want you to listen and have good oral communication. They want adaptability and to create responses to setbacks and obstacles. They also want personal management, confidence, and motivation to work towards goals. And lastly, they want a sense of wanting to develop one's career and taking pride in the organization and your accomplishments. That's what employers are looking for today. So you can use your emotional intelligence competencies to achieve great success, not only for your organization, but for yourself. Because ladies and gentlemen, these skills that you're developing aren't just for in your workplace, they're for your home and personal life and improving your experience in this world. What interpersonal skills are needed to do this? Well, first of all, you need good group and interpersonal effectiveness, cooperation, and teamwork. You also need skills at negotiating disagreements. You need effectiveness in the organization and wanting, the desire to make a contribution, and you also need leadership potentials. We all have it. The question is, are we developing that? Not just for the organization, but for our own lives. So thank you. Thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Matt Selker, and I'm with More Counseling and Mediation Services, and we're here to serve you. For additional questions on this topic or to talk about EAP services, please give us a call. Our phone number is 216-404-1900. Or you can email us at eap@morecounseling.com. Again, it's been a pleasure being your host. I hope you have a fantastic day. Goodbye.